Now that we have the picture matched color, so that way it looks like it's more part of the background layer, another thing that you can do to make your photo seem like it fits in a little bit more is by creating a fake shadow. So in this case, I'm just going to be doing a shadow right underneath the spaceship. It might make more sense if I were to have a planet there or something that the shadow would actually be cast onto. But you can just imagine your own artwork. If you had something right below an object, you'd probably have the shadow of that object right on there. So the first thing that you'll need to do is apply the layer mask so that way you can make a selection around the object. So I'm going to bring the layer mask down to the trash bin, and when it asks whether or not I want to apply the mask, I just need to click apply. Okay. Next I'm going to select around the object. And I'm going to add to my selection this little inner part here. And just like we were doing when we were trying to get rid of the background initially, we need to inverse our selection. So we have to go up to Select, Inverse. Alright, next create a blank layer, and we're going to bring this layer below the layer that has the spaceship on it. Then we're going to go up to Edit, Fill, and fill it with black. Alright, now you can deselect, so that way you can make some movements of the shadow layer. Alright, so right now we have a really sharp shadow, and this may make sense to use that sharp of a shadow if the shadow that's being casted on is using a hard light. If you have a soft light, you definitely want to use a blur filter to make it look like it fits better in. One thing that I'll share now, in case you want to keep a sharp shadow edge, you definitely want to change the opacity so it looks more like a shadow. This is the visible or invisibility of a layer. Okay. Now say that I do want to have a softer shadow. There's a filter called Gaussian Blur that you'll want to use. So open the filter menu. You want to click on Blur and Gaussian Blur. And this you can adjust how much you want the image to be blurred. The more you blur it, the less you're going to see. The softer light that you have, remember, the less of a shadow edge transfer that you'd have. So then you'd have more blurred edges. Alright, so now we've got a shadow here. One of the things you'll probably end up needing to do is transform the shadow so that it makes sense for the situation that you have. So I'm just going to show you using the transform tool one method of doing that. So I'm going to click on transform warp, and I can just adjust how the shadow looks. Say the object that I have the shadow on is quite curved. I may end up having a shadow that looks more like this based on what the object looks like. Hit enter, make the transformation happen. Another one that seems to work pretty well for most people would be underneath Edit, Transform, and Perspective. So with this one, be making the shadow go back into space or come out towards you based on whether your object is in the foreground or background. Alright, so those are just a couple different tools that you can use to make that fake shadow. There's definitely a lot that you can do with this to make the shadow more complex, but this is just a good intro to let you know how to do it.